Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm EVM and today I want to talk about my favourite subject again, saving money. Whew, I always get a little emotional when I'm talking about this. Specifically though, solar panels installed on your roof here in the UK. The price of electricity has rocketed, it will go up again in October, and essentially the higher the cost for electricity, the shorter the payback period, or the return if you will, is for solar panels. Last year, if you were getting 13-14 pence per kilowatt hour, you would save 13-14 pence for every kilowatt hour you generated and used. Now, however, if we're looking at 30 pence, for example, and I will come back to that in a minute, you're getting twice as much for each kilowatt hour generated from those solar panels as you were back then. And of course, things go up naturally, so over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, it's probably going to be even higher. So, on that basis, given the price of electricity, of where it is now and where it will be, does it make financial sense to get them now? I'm talking about just solar panels by themselves, no battery system, no solar divert or anything like that, because ultimately using what you generate is far better than exporting, as you'll see here on the whiteboard of truth. Let me start with the solar array on my roof, which I would class as suboptimal. And whilst I should also apologise if you can hear a little bit of rain in the background. Unfortunately, I am in North Yorkshire. It's not stopped raining for 3 days and I've got to get the video done. Essentially, yes, this is the one I have. So I have an east-west array. The roof is full. I can't fit any more panels up there because of the Velux windows. So this is as good as it's getting for me. I have 320 watt panels. 4 on the east side, 10 on the west side, which gives me a total theoretical maximum generating capacity of 4,480 kilowatts, which isn't bad, but I'm never going to get close to this figure because, well, the sun starts here-ish, because that's not quite south, but it's good enough. It starts here and then does that and sets about there. Rises in the east, sets in the west. So I get a little bit of good generation in the morning, and then it kind of, depending on obviously time of year, it then switches over to the other side where the bulk of my generation comes from. So a little bit in the morning, average in sort of afternoon, and then I get good generation in kind of late afternoon, evening, certainly in summer anyway. So compared to a decent south-facing array or whatever the optimal is, I think I haven't got a brilliant one here. The most I have seen this, so in theory I can get 4.5 kilowatts, shall we say, but the most I've ever seen it over 2021 on a very bright sunny day in, I think, August, was 2.3 kilowatts. So that's the most, presumably the bulk of it from this side, that's the most I have ever generated. So you might say, well, 4.5 kilowatts is a good array. But it's not. I've kind of got two separate ones that won't ever work together because the sun will either be there or somewhere in between. So again, this is going to, hopefully this video is going to give you the tools to figure out what you can get in terms of financial return on getting solar panels, because everybody's roof space will be different, everybody's power usage will be different. This entire video is based on the assumption there is no solar divert, there is no battery storage or any of that. And as you'll probably see, it's all about using what you generate. We don't want to export to the grid. That's not good. You get a bit for it, don't get me wrong, so it's better than nothing, but using is always better. Now over 2021, because I now have a full calendar year of data, I have generated, and I have taken losses and all that sort of thing into account before anybody asks, I have generated just over, so I'll round it down to 3.0 megawatts of energy. 3 megawatts, which is essentially 3,000 kilowatt hours. Sorry, megawatt hours. Someone's going to pick up on that one. 3,000 kilowatt hours worth of solar generation. Now, it would be nice to say you could just times 3,000 by your tariff, and then that's your saving. That'd be brilliant. 3,000 times 30 pence would be £900 a year. However, no one's ever going to use everything they generate. You'd have to have a colossal battery system, or lots of divert options. So it's possible, I guess, but it's very, very unlikely. And certainly, if you've just got solar panels and nothing else, which is what this video is based off, you're not going to be doing that anyway. So what we have to do is factor in how much the house would use, how much you would export, and then see what the savings are from that. So I'm going to have to wipe this out, fill the table in, and come back to you in an edit point now. Oh, I don't think anybody noticed that seamless edit point there. Right, all the information is on this table behind me. So this is based on my house generation, like I said, 3,000 kilowatt hours. So what you're going to have to do now is go, well, what do I think my house at home will generate? You can use my figures, and I think it will be accurate enough to give you a good guideline. Or you can say, well, I've got a big roof, I could fit an 8 kilowatt array up there, so therefore my figures need to be adjusted for me. So you're going to have to do your own sums here. You can go off this to a point, but as I said, everybody is different. I'm using averages of averages based on my usage. And remember, you can get a bigger array than 4 kilowatts because it's how much the inverter will be able to take that kind of dictates that. I'm no solar expert on this, so go off what your solar installer will tell you. I've got an east-west array, so if I had 2-3 kilowatt arrays, that would be fine. I would never go above 4, if that makes sense. I don't think I've explained that very well, but you get my point. I would always go as big as you can afford to go. I'd love to get more generating capacity. It becomes obsessive. You look at your data and you're thinking, well, for every kilowatt hour I'm saving, 30p in this case. And the 30p that I'm going off is, again, what I believe is the minimum we will have by the time we get to the end of 2022, once your tariff expires, and then it could be anywhere from 30 to 40p. Again, we're not going back to below 20, certainly. I doubt we'll ever go back below 25. It's just a fact of life now. Electricity prices are this, and well, things only get more and more expensive as time goes on, don't they? That's why they call it inflation. So let me show you this. I think hopefully you now will have all the tools you need, but let me explain what's going on the table here. Now, another thing you're going to have to figure out yourself is how much do you think you'll be able to use? So if you generated 3,000 kilowatt hours, averaged out over the year, of course, it will be higher in summer and very little in winter. How much do you think you will be able to use? 30% of everything you generate, so therefore 900 kilowatt hours? Or do you think you could be 70 or 80% usage? So if you have a solar divert option, obviously you'd be further down here. If you had storage batteries and bigger ones, then you could be even at 100%. So I'm giving you all the figures from this, and you can say, well, I reckon with a bit of clever usage, with some smart plugs maybe, I'll be able to hit 50% usage. So if I'm generating 3,000, I'll use 1,500. So let's imagine you do generate, in fact let me put it here, 3 megawatt hour for a year, and you only use 30% of that total generation. That means 30% will come off your tariff. So again, if you're paying 30p per kilowatt hour, which again I believe is going to be the minimum over the next few years, well, over the next 20 years, then essentially you're saving £270 because 900 kilowatt hours have come from your solar array rather from the grid. So essentially 30p times the kilowatt hour rate. Then, of course, in theory, you will be exporting everything else. So if you only use 30, you will export 70%. So in this case, you will be exporting 2,100 kilowatt hours to the grid. Now, the price for the export I have put at 5 pence. I am currently getting 4.1. I do expect that to rise, should I say, over the next year or two. It has just gone from 3 to 4.1, I should point out. But over the next 20 years, it should be higher than this, but I'm going to play it safe, and I've picked 5 pence per kilowatt hour in terms of export. Octopus Agile customers, look away now, because that fluctuates too much. It's impossible to do this table based on Agile. And you wouldn't be paying 30 pence, you'd be paying a lot more, because I think that cap is going to rise as well. So this is based on fixed rate tariffs. 30p from the grid, 5p for you to export. So let me put the 5p there per kilowatt hour. Export. Right, so 5 pence times 2,100 kilowatt hours is £105. So therefore your total annual saving, in theory, based on this usage, will be £375. If we go down to, let's say 60%, so let's imagine you can put 60% of everything you generate, which again will be mainly in the middle 6 months, the hotter times, then you will, in theory, save £600. 540 from not getting stuff from the grid, and then just £60 because obviously you're exporting less. So you can clearly see here, the more you use as opposed to export, the better off you are, which is why solar battery systems or home battery systems and solar divert things are so popular, and for me a massive deal. With a battery system, I think the payback or return period is shorter. You'll have a much bigger capital investment, of course, but I think you will save a lot more. But this video is just about solar. Now, of course, saving, let's pick 50%. Saving £525 a year is brilliant. That's good. But it all depends on how much solar panels cost in the first place, doesn't it? Well, I have a company that I know very well, and they are sponsoring this channel, so welcome to them. This is the first video. They are called First for Solar. They are a Give Energy approved installer, which is how I first came to know them. And they also, as the name suggests, sell solar panels as well as battery systems. They're called First for Solar. And the reason why I'm not giving you the price on here and telling you to go to this website is because you might be watching this video in 3 months, 6 months time, maybe a year, and the price of solar panels, like everything else, I expect to climb. As it stands on their website, so I'll put the link in the description below, or you can just go to firstforsolar.co.uk, whichever you want. They are selling a 4.6 total kilowatt array, so that's 12 385 watt Q-cell panels, and that is installed for £5,495. So effectively, if we use that figure, £5,500, and I imagine that is based on a simple installation. You know, if you've got some unique roof or you need extra scaffolding or something, I imagine it could be more expensive than that. This is a guide. So if you're saving, if it's costing you £5,500 and you're saving £525, then your payback or return period is roughly 10 years. If you can increase your consumption, then obviously your payback period could be significantly less. So this is why I'm not telling you how much you would save. I'm saying you tell me how much you would save. What do you think you could utilize rather than export? There are many easy ways of doing this, even without any solar divert or home battery systems. So for example, I had solar panels without a battery system. I could easily use in summer what I was generating rather than export it to the grid, because all I had to do is tell my car to start charging, my electric car of course, because that would always use more than the solar panels will generate. So let's imagine I'm charging my car at 6 kilowatts and my solar panels are generating 2 kilowatts. That would mean I'm only taking 4 from the grid, but my car is getting 6. Losses aside, of course. So I'm utilising all of my solar. That's one way of doing it. You could do little things like, well, the sun's out, it's going to be sunny, it's a clear day, it's middle of summer. So for the next several hours, I'm going to get way more than I can ever consume. So you know what, I'm going to turn the dishwasher on or the washing machine on. And then that will come from solar rather than from the grid. There is quite a lot of smart plug stuff you can do, of course. If you have an immersion heater in a hot water cylinder, then that's easily done. If someone has said to you, all right, we can stick a 4.5 kilowatt array on the roof, then I think 3 megawatt hours is a safe bet. You probably get more, certainly if you're down south, but you do live down south, so that's not as good, is it? So let's run with a 4 kilowatt array on your roof. Then you've got to estimate this. Where are you going to come? If you think, well, we've got nothing at all to divert, so let's put it up here, then your savings are going to be around there. I imagine if we halved all this, so when it was 15 pence per kilowatt hour, for example, this would be so much lower, then solar panels wouldn't really make any sense, would they? If, of course, we get to 40 pence per kilowatt hour in the next few years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, then this will be higher. The higher price the electricity is from the grid, the quicker the panels pay back themselves, or the return is. So over a 20-year period, or 25, because usually come with 20-25 year guarantees, that is the lowest for me. In theory, these will be a few £100 per year higher, averaged out over the 10-20 years or whatever. So I'll leave it up to you. There's no point in me telling you if it makes financial sense for you, only you can do that. Hopefully this is enough now for you to at least think about it. And of course, I guess it's the environmental thing to do. The one thing I will say, in terms of prices, solar panels, as I said, for me, they have gone up, and like everything in life, it will go up over the years. I'll give you one example. Give Energy battery from First for Solar, they were pumping one of those out installed at around, I think it was 4,800 and something, including VAT and installation. That same battery system installed, basically the exact identical thing, is now about 5,800 and something. That's not First for Solar putting their prices up, that's just the price of things going up. That's happened in 6 months. So, in theory, if you have the money now for solar panels or battery systems, just like I said for the EV video I did a couple of weeks back, why hang around? The solar panels aren't going to get cheaper for me now. They're only going to get more expensive, mainly due to raw materials and transport costs. So don't rush into this. Never put yourself in debt. But if you think, well, should we get it this year? Should we not? Should we put the money towards that? Or should we go on holiday or whatever? I'd do the solar panels sooner rather than later, because they might be at the same price, but it's quite likely they're going to be higher. So the cheaper you get it installed, the quicker the return, if you will. If you got the solar panels a couple of years ago, I imagine they would be a fair bit cheaper, and therefore the return, the payback period would be much shorter. No point in dwelling on the past, but you get my point. So there we are. Thank you to firstforsolar.co.uk for sponsoring the channel. You will see more of them over the coming year, and that is enabling me to do some really cool stuff in the house, so keep an eye on the channel just for that. Subscribe, like, all the usual sort of rubbish, and you will get the occasional members only video if you do become a member. It only costs 99p. You can pay more if you want. You pay whatever you think the membership is worth, which I think is fair. And you also get videos like this a week early, and you can ask me questions directly. I want to make a bigger deal of this because I get too many emails through my website, which is evman.co.uk, but I can't answer them. I can't answer them. I've stopped answering because I'm just getting flooded with emails, Twitter DMs, YouTube comments. So effectively, if you want an answer, if you want a guaranteed answer from myself, I'm not saying I won't reply to the emails, but if you want that guarantee, become a member and then find the community post, ask a question on there. I will be able to spot that very easily and reply to you. So, yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.